Imagine this. It's Friday evening. Your paycheck finally hits your bank account. For about 10 seconds, you feel relieved. Then reality starts collecting its money. Your rent clears. Your car payment disappears. Your credit card autopay kicks in. Your phone bill comes out. Netflix. Insurance. Electricity. Groceries. Before you've even finished your morning coffee on Saturday, nearly every dollar already has someone else's name on it. You stare at your banking app wondering the same question millions of Americans quietly ask every single month. I make decent money, so why do I still feel broke? Meanwhile, you open social media. Someone your age is buying a beach house. Another friend is posting photos from a luxury vacation in Italy. Someone else just bought a brand new Tesla. Financial influencers are talking about retiring at 35. News headlines proudly announce. The average American household is worth over $1 million. Retirement accounts are reaching record highs. Consumer spending remains strong. And suddenly, you feel like you're the only person struggling. Maybe you missed some secret class everyone else attended. Maybe everyone else figured out money except you. Maybe you're simply bad with finances. But here's something almost nobody tells you. The biggest financial lie in America isn't about investing. It isn't about taxes. It isn't about inflation. It's about one single word: average. And today, I'm going to prove something that may completely change the way you think about money forever. Because once you understand what's hiding behind America's biggest financial statistics, you'll stop comparing yourself to people who were never your competition in the first place. I'm Della. And on this channel, we simplify investing, personal finance, and wealth building so you can make smarter financial decisions without needing a finance degree. If that's the kind of financial education you've been looking for, hit subscribe. And let's dive in. America loves the average. Americans hear financial statistics almost every day. The average salary. The average retirement account. The average home price. The average net worth. The average credit score. The average savings account. Those numbers appear on TV, financial websites, TikTok, YouTube, newspapers, and even government reports. The problem isn't that these numbers are fake. The problem is, they often don't describe the life of the average American at all. Here's why. Imagine 10 people standing in a room. 9 of them each earn $60,000 a year. The 10th person is a billionaire. If you simply average everyone's income together, suddenly that room appears incredibly wealthy. On paper, everyone looks rich. In reality, 9 people are still worrying about grocery prices. 1 person owns a private jet. Yet all 10 people are used to create the same average. That's exactly how many financial headlines work. Technically correct, practically misleading. And that's why millions of hardworking Americans constantly feel like they're falling behind. They're comparing themselves to a number that was inflated by people living completely different financial lives. Let's make this real. Meet Jason. Jason is 38 years old. He lives outside Columbus, Ohio. He works as a project manager for a construction company. He earns around $82,000 a year. He's married. He has 2 kids. His family isn't extravagant. They don't own yachts. They don't fly private. They cook dinner at home most nights. They buy clothes when they're on sale. They drive a 6-year-old SUV. Every month Jason contributes to his company's 401k. He pays his mortgage. He saves a little. He tries to stay responsible. From the outside, Jason is doing everything financial experts tell him to do. Yet almost every month, he still feels stressed. When his daughter needs braces, he worries. When his water heater breaks, he worries. When the car starts making a strange noise, he worries. Not because Jason is irresponsible, because life is expensive. Now imagine Jason scrolling through headlines saying, the average retirement account is over $180,000. Average household wealth exceeds $1 million. Americans continue spending at record levels. Jason immediately thinks, what am I doing wrong? The truth? Probably nothing. He's simply comparing himself to people whose financial situations look nothing like his own. The statistic that changes everything. There's one financial concept every American should understand before they believe another headline. It's the difference between mean and median. Don't worry. This isn't a math class. This may be the most valuable 5-minute financial lesson you'll ever learn. Let's say one neighborhood has 5 homes. House 1 is worth $300,000. House 2, $320,000. House 3, $350,000. House 4, $375,000. House 5 belongs to a billionaire and is worth $25 million. Now ask yourself, what's the average home value? Technically, it's over $5 million. Does that describe the neighborhood? Not even close. Almost every family there owns a normal middle-class home. One mansion completely distorts the average. Now let's use the median. The median simply looks at the house sitting in the middle. Not the richest. Not the poorest. Just the middle. That number would be around $350,000. Suddenly, the statistic actually represents reality. This is why professional economists often prefer median data when they want to understand how ordinary Americans are actually living. Median income. Median household wealth. Median home price. Median retirement savings. Those numbers usually tell a much more honest story. Yet they rarely become headlines. Because record-breaking averages generate clicks. Reality doesn't. Why this matters more than you think. Here's what happens psychologically. You see an average. You compare yourself. You assume you're behind. Then you make emotional financial decisions trying to catch up. Maybe you finance a luxury SUV because everyone else seems to own one. Maybe you stretch your budget buying a larger house. Maybe you upgrade your phone every year. Maybe you start chasing risky investments because someone online claims they doubled their money. Comparison quietly becomes consumption. And consumption quietly becomes debt. This isn't because Americans are stupid. It's because human beings naturally compare themselves with the people around them. Social media makes it even worse. Think about it. Nobody posts themselves paying their electric bill. Nobody uploads photos of replacing a transmission. Nobody celebrates paying off a medical deductible. People post vacations. New kitchens. Luxury handbags. New trucks. Stock market wins. Promotion announcements. The highlight reel becomes your measuring stick. Before long, your perfectly normal financial life starts feeling like failure. Even when you're actually doing okay. The financial comparison trap. Financial stress isn't always caused by low income. Sometimes, it's caused by unrealistic expectations. Research has consistently shown that people judge their financial success relative to others, not just by how much money they actually have. That's why someone earning $90,000 can feel poor if everyone around them appears to earn more. Meanwhile, someone earning $55,000 in a lower-cost community may feel financially secure because their expectations match reality. Money isn't just mathematics. It's psychology. And once comparison enters the picture, logic often leaves. That's exactly why advertisers spend billions of dollars every year convincing you that a normal isn't enough. A newer car. A bigger television. A luxury kitchen. Designer clothes. The newest iPhone. None of these products are marketed as necessities. They're marketed as status. Because status sells. And comparison creates customers. Here's the question you should actually ask. Instead of asking, am I doing better than the average American? Ask something much more useful. Am I doing better than I was 1 year ago? Is my emergency fund growing? Am I paying off debt? Am I investing consistently? Is my net worth increasing? Am I spending intentionally? Those questions actually improve your financial future. Comparing yourself to strangers never will. And speaking of debt, the next statistic we're about to uncover explains why so many hardworking Americans feel trapped, even with decent incomes. It's one of the biggest financial warning signs hiding in plain sight. And once you see the numbers behind America's debt crisis, you'll understand why millions of families feel like they're running on a treadmill that never stops. We'll dive into that next. The debt trap that's quietly draining America. Think about the last unexpected expense you had. Maybe your car suddenly needed new tires. Maybe your air conditioner stopped working during the summer. Maybe your child needed an emergency visit to the dentist. Maybe your dog swallowed something it definitely shouldn't have. None of these are once-in-a-lifetime disasters. They're normal life events. Yet for millions of Americans, one unexpected bill can throw their entire financial life into chaos. Here's the shocking part. The problem usually isn't the emergency itself. It's what happens next. The $400 test. Every year, the Federal Reserve asks Americans a surprisingly simple question. If an unexpected $400 expense came up today, could you pay for it using cash or money already in your bank account? No borrowing. No credit cards. No payday loans. No asking family. Just cash. Millions of Americans answer no. Think about that for a second. $400. That's not open heart surgery. That's 4 new tires. A broken refrigerator. A minor emergency room copay. A plumbing repair. A last-minute flight to visit a sick family member. These aren't luxury purchases. They're simply life happening. And when people don't have an emergency fund, they have only one option. Borrow. Debt doesn't usually start with luxury. When people imagine someone drowning in debt, they often picture reckless spending. Luxury handbags. Expensive vacations. Designer clothes. Brand new sports cars. But reality is often much different. Meet Sarah. She's a single mother living outside Dallas. She works full-time as a medical assistant earning about $56,000 a year. She budgets carefully. She cooks at home. She rarely eats out. She hasn't taken a real vacation in years. One afternoon her transmission fails. Repair estimate? $3,400. She has $700 saved. The mechanic needs payment before releasing the car. Without a working vehicle, she can't get to work. Without work, she can't pay rent, so she does what millions of Americans would do. She swipes her credit card. Not because she wanted rewards points. Because she needed transportation to keep earning a paycheck. Debt didn't begin with poor choices. It began with survival. Credit cards, helpful tool or expensive trap? Let's be clear. Credit cards themselves aren't evil. In fact, responsible credit card use can actually improve your credit score, provide fraud protection, earn cashback rewards, and even give you travel benefits. The problem begins when balances aren't paid in full. That's when interest starts working against you. Imagine carrying a $5,000 balance with an interest rate around 24%. If you only make the minimum payment each month, a huge portion of your payment goes toward interest rather than reducing the debt itself. It's like trying to empty a bathtub while someone keeps turning the faucet back on. Month after month, you send money to the bank, yet your balance barely seems to move. This is exactly why banks encourage minimum payments. The minimum keeps the account current, but it often keeps the customer paying interest for years. The smartest credit card users don't ask, "Can I afford this monthly payment?" They ask, "Can I pay this entire balance when the statement arrives?" That's a completely different mindset. Lifestyle inflation, the silent budget killer. Now let's talk about something that affects people at almost every income level. Lifestyle inflation. Imagine 2 coworkers. Mike receives a $7,000 raise. He celebrates by leasing a newer SUV. His monthly payment increases. Insurance increases. Gas costs increase. Maintenance costs increase. Within 6 months, his raise has disappeared. Now meet Emily. She receives the exact same raise. Instead of upgrading her lifestyle, she increases her 401k contribution by 3%. She automates an extra investment into an index fund every payday. She continues driving her reliable car for 3 more years. Fast forward 15 years. Mike wonders why every raise still leaves him living paycheck to paycheck. Emily wonders how her investment account quietly crossed 6 figures. Same raise. Different decisions. The lesson? It's not always how much you earn. It's what happens after you earn more. One of the biggest financial mistakes Americans make isn't earning too little. It's increasing expenses every time income increases. The car payment that costs more than you think. Let's play a simple game. Imagine someone has a $750 monthly car payment. Sounds normal, right? Unfortunately, it has become very normal. Now imagine investing that same amount every month over several decades, earning a reasonable long-term market return. The difference isn't just thousands of dollars. It could grow into well over $1 million depending on time and returns. Now, does that mean everyone should drive a 20-year-old car? Of course not. Reliable transportation matters. Especially in America, where many people depend on driving to work every single day. But there's a huge difference between buying transportation and buying status. A dependable used vehicle that gets you safely to work can build wealth. A luxury vehicle purchased simply to impress others often delays it. Remember, Cars usually lose value. Investments have the potential to gain value. Knowing the difference changes your financial future. Buy now, pay later, convenience with consequences. Over the last few years, another form of borrowing has exploded. Buy now, pay later. It sounds harmless. No interest. For easy payments. Instant approval. For responsible shoppers who pay on time and budget carefully, it can be a useful payment option. But many households aren't using these services for luxury shopping anymore. They're using them for groceries, household essentials, school supplies, and everyday living expenses. That's a warning sign. Whenever debt becomes necessary just to afford necessities, it's usually pointing to a larger budgeting problem or a gap between income and rising living costs. The danger isn't one payment plan. It's juggling several at once. One payment here, another next Friday, one more the following Tuesday. Soon your paycheck arrives already committed to purchases you made weeks ago. That's when budgeting becomes confusing. And confusion is expensive. The wealthy ask different questions. One habit separates financially secure families from those constantly feeling broke. Before making almost any purchase, they ask one simple question. Will this decision make next month's budget easier or harder? Notice what they don't ask. They don't ask, can I squeeze this payment into my budget? Because almost anything can fit into 1 month's budget. The better question is, what does this cost me 6 months from now? 1 year from now? 5 years from now? That shift in thinking changes everything. A better way to budget. If your budget constantly feels tight, don't immediately assume you need a second job. Start by finding where your money is quietly leaking. Subscription services you forgot about. Unused gym memberships. Food delivery several nights a week. Impulse purchases from social media ads. Higher insurance premiums you haven't compared in years. Expensive cell phone plans. Many Americans are surprised to discover hundreds of dollars leaving their account each month for things they barely notice anymore. That money can become an emergency fund. It can pay down high-interest debt. It can start building investments. Small changes rarely feel dramatic, but over years, they become life-changing. Debt is only one side of America's financial story. The other side may be even more surprising. Millions of hardworking Americans are approaching retirement, only to discover they haven't actually been preparing for retirement at all. In the next part, we'll uncover some of the most shocking statistics about retirement savings, homeownership, and the growing wealth gap, and, more importantly, the practical steps you can take today to avoid becoming part of those statistics. The numbers that actually matter. We've talked about misleading averages and America's growing debt problem. Now let's look ahead. Because the biggest financial risk isn't struggling today. It's reaching retirement and realizing you never built enough freedom. Retirement isn't an age, it's a number. Many Americans think retirement begins at 65. In reality, retirement begins when your investments can consistently pay your bills. That's why two people can both be 65. One keeps working because they have to. The other works because they want to. The difference isn't age. It's assets. If your money isn't earning money while you sleep, retirement becomes harder every year. The earlier you start investing, even with small amounts, the more time compound growth has to work for you. Time is far more valuable than trying to invest a large amount later. The housing reality. Buying a home has become more difficult than it was for previous generations. Higher home prices, higher mortgage rates, higher insurance, and higher property taxes have changed the game. That doesn't mean homeownership is impossible. It means patience matters more than rushing. Buying a home you can't comfortably afford can delay your financial goals for years. Sometimes renting for another year while building a larger down payment is the smarter financial decision. Remember, a house should improve your financial life, not become your biggest source of stress. The wealth gap keeps growing. One reason financial headlines feel confusing is because wealth isn't growing equally. People who consistently own assets, stocks, businesses, real estate, retirement accounts benefit when those assets appreciate. People who rely only on paychecks often struggle to keep up with inflation. That's why investing isn't just for Wall Street. It's one of the few ways ordinary Americans can participate in long-term economic growth. The goal isn't to get rich overnight. The goal is to gradually own assets instead of only paying bills. 5 habits that separate financially successful people. Notice these habits have nothing to do with earning $1 million. First, they automate investing every payday. They don't wait until the end of the month. They pay their future first. Second, they avoid high-interest debt whenever possible. A guaranteed 24% interest charge is almost impossible for investments to beat consistently. Third, they increase their savings every time they get a raise. Instead of upgrading their lifestyle, they upgrade their future. Fourth, they focus on net worth, not income. A high salary means very little if every dollar immediately goes back out. Finally, they stay consistent. Building wealth usually looks boring. It's decades of small, smart decisions, not one lucky investment. The most important statistic. After all these shocking numbers, here's the one that matters most. Most millionaires in America didn't inherit their wealth. They built it gradually. Not through lottery tickets. Not through meme stocks. Not through perfect market timing. Through consistent investing. Living below their means. Avoiding unnecessary debt. And letting time do the heavy lifting. That's encouraging. Because those habits are available to almost everyone. Final thoughts. If today's statistics surprised you, don't use them as a reason to panic. Use them as motivation. Financial success isn't about competing with the average American. It's about making slightly better decisions than you made yesterday. Save a little more. Spend a little smarter. Invest a little earlier. Repeat that process year after year. Those small choices eventually become a life that feels financially secure. And that's the goal. Not looking wealthy, but becoming wealthy. Because at the end of the day, your financial future won't be determined by shocking headlines. It will be determined by the everyday decisions you make after watching this video. If you found this helpful, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe because every week we break down investing, personal finance, and wealth building into simple, practical lessons anyone can understand. Thanks for watching. I'm Della. And I'll see you in the next video.